What's up, amigos? So the Diablo 4 team just wrapped up their Campfire stream a little bit ago regarding patch 1.1.1, which has also been confirmed to release August 8th, and the patch notes will release August 2nd, where we'll have a chance to fully dive into those there. But in the meantime, we did get some significant information about some other things, which we'll recap and go over in this video. So don't forget to like this video. Every bit helps the channel out a ton, and I really appreciate it. And if you enjoy the videos, go ahead and subscribe for more daily Diablo 4 content. So let's start off with the confirmations about things that they mentioned in last week's stream that are still coming in patch 1.1.1. Things like Nightmare Dungeon and Helltide Dungeon density increases. They actually gave us this minor example of what to expect, and although it is a weird example, it's an example nonetheless. So you can clearly see the difference in images in the example they provided on stream here, and I for one am pretty excited to just kill more monsters. It is the beauty of ARPGs, hack and slash games, just clearing hordes of enemies, feeling like you're a total badass with your build, your character. Another thing that they said is again the addition of another stash tab, elixir cap size increases, and other things, but we also did get some new information about patch 1.1.1 with things like Backstabber, Resource Drain, and Cold Enchanted affixes all being removed from Nightmare Dungeons in this patch, which I think is a total dub. I am absolutely ecstatic to have these removed. I absolutely hate Backstabber. I don't even know why Resource Drain was ever thought to be added to a Nightmare Dungeon. And the Cold Enchanted being removed is their way of trying to combat the over excessive amount of crowd control in Diablo 4. So aside from this, goblins will also guarantee a legendary drop every time you kill one now, so make sure to always go after them. They're going to be worth more. They're going to be worth going and chasing them down more now. Bosses will also have more health in World Tier 3 and 4, and now we're also guaranteed a legendary drop per kill, much like Nightmare Dungeons. But I guess now this is going to be some sort of global change, which I don't know how, or maybe they worded it wrong, but I kind of thought that it was already the case, because I remember pretty clearly, for example, getting legendary drops through my first campaign playthrough every major boss kill. But yeah, hopefully the patch note clears this up a bit. Another shocker was Temerity getting buffed. Now, not only was it getting buffed, it's getting changed, and this has cleared up some things. So Temerity now, the all stat affix will be replaced with a max life roll, and your barrier is now based off of your max life. But the thing that it clears up is now it properly checks to see if your player has a barrier to fix some cases where conceded, for example, wasn't working because it didn't see that you had a barrier active. Was this a bug? We have no idea. It wasn't actually clarified if this was a bug or something that was working intentionally with Temerity. Maybe it was just something that was overlooked. Who knows? The good news is that this has been changed to now work as I thought as it should. The big changes with this patch is obviously sorcerers and barbarians, which they tried to emphasize as much as possible both last week and this week. But I, and I'm sure majority of you, were pretty shocked to see all 5 classes getting some sort of buffs. You know, and it is pretty funny coming off of just the last patch where everything in the game got nerfed. Necros and Rogues, not as much as the other 3 classes, but buffs regardless. Druids, they got some pretty substantial buffs alongside sorcerers and barbarians, and I definitely think the changes to sorcerer will put them in the running for finally being a viable class. Not just endgame, but a class in general. Unfortunately for you barbs out there, I still don't think this is enough to satisfy you all, and I know I'll get some hate for this, but hear me out. I think the problem was that the bug damage with Hoda and the bug damage with the Whirlwind gloves in the beginning had it to where now people expect to see those massive damage numbers like that all the time. But the reality of this is that it was never the intention with the game. It was bugged damage. I think barbarians are still viable, just not compared to what they were a few weeks ago, and I think that's what's upsetting people the most, is that their class that they enjoy playing has changed and they're doing considerably less damage. Sorcerers really have what seems like a total overhaul here. Buffs to survivability, buffs to damage capabilities, changes to passive, skills, paragon changes, aspects, the whole kit. And how certain things even work. Seems to be the right direction for sorcerers, in my opinion, and finally makes me maybe want to try one out this season. The druids, this again was a huge shock to me. Druids are such powerhouses, and they're in such a good spot right now that where they're already tanky, they have potential to do massive amounts of damage. The big thing that people are going to enjoy here are the buffs to spirit generators, because that is their biggest weakness. They're also buffing wolves again, which I think we're getting closer to finally having a more than viable companion build for druids, especially since rabies just got a massive 30% increase in poison damage, because they noticed that poison druid was pretty lackluster, and maybe this will open up options for poison druids to really shine. Rogues, we were blessed to have some changes as well, even though for whatever reason the community still thinks that we're the most overpowered class in the game. They really need to start looking at necros and druids if they think this. So we ended up getting a minor damage tick increase to poison trap, as it is very weak in terms of scaling. Rain of arrows might actually have a better use now instead of just a meme ability. They changed this to where the knockdown is on the first initial hit instead of on the second wave now. But not only that, the Word of a Khan was also buffed to also grant cooldown reduction on the amulet, making the amulet a bit more worthwhile, I think. Rugged has seen another buff, which is our passive to mitigate damage over time effect. So this might actually be worth looking into now, not as an overall passive ability, but more so maybe respecking into it for certain scenarios when pushing certain nightmare dungeons. Now, Siphon and Strikes. Siphon and Strikes was nerfed last patch, but that, you know, they have now buffed the nerf, giving us another 10% lucky hit chance. I'm not a huge fan of this, all right? Anybody who's been following the channel knows I'm not a huge fan of this, but thanks, I guess. Elusive Menace no longer requires hits to be from close enemies. Honestly, it's not a big deal. The big deal here, and for me at least, is the Quickening Fog aspect, which is my new favorite aspect for this season, by the way. Just got a huge buff, so I'm extremely excited over this one. So yeah, that's all the major information taken from the Campfire stream today. We'll have a full dive React-like video coming up on August 2nd when they release the official full patch notes. So again, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more daily Diablo 4 content, and until next time, amigos, take care.